Erik, let me turn to you. You participated in one of the groups, as did Kevin, in trying to assemble a 10-year federal budget policy. And what was your takeaway from that? Was the conversation at your table of these Americans of all stripes, was it acrimonious? Was it harmonious? Was it productive? What was that session like as you helped lead this group to build a 10-year federal budget?
Yeah, I think the thing that stands out to me was how eye-opening it was for a lot of people to see the actual numbers. For the people wearing the blue, to see that you couldn't do it just by raising taxes on the wealthy and corporations, and people on the red seeing that you can't just do it by cutting waste and foreign aid. And so that was the first thing. And we had some differences that people had to iron out. But at the end of the day, the big shock to me was a lot of the red folks were willing to raise taxes pretty much across the board, and a lot of the blue folks actually signed on to the Paul Ryan Medicare plan. So that was a really interesting result.
So when we set the exercise up, we informed people that according to the Congressional Budget Office, the nonpartisan CBO, over the next 10 years, federal budget deficits are expected to total way more than $20 trillion. So the goal of this exercise is for people to assemble a budget. They get to vote on what to keep, what to cut, what to expand, what not to, and so forth. And that's such a big figure, and it's such a daunting figure. So when people, I think people can understand what $1 million is, and so you can kind of explain what $1 billion is. But oftentimes you lose them when you go from a billion, from a billion to a trillion. And so this exercise, in a lot of ways, I think it helps people to digest these giant numbers. And so, Kevin, in your group, you also were part of a group your group was able to reduce the deficit, and like Erik's group, were they able to look at both spending reform and tax reform?
Yes, both. And I really would credit each of them for being good listener. We had an economist sitting there, et cetera. We had some very astute people, but they were selective. They would look at on options of how to create revenue using financial transactions. Look at extending the 2017 tax law. What would be the effects of that on either side? They had good discussions. They used the options book to look through things. So what was impressive was their quick discussions, especially a guy who had VA experience, on any effects on military spending, pro and con. So they were quick, they were decisive, and I thought it's as good a group as I've ever been around. There was a gentleman there from Chicago who was an experienced business guy. I think he said, "I've never learned so much." So these are all good indicators that the exercise really works well. And it did for my group. I was impressed, quite frankly, because I've done a number of them.